Welcome to the Prescott Lab podcast, not just theory, practical science for everyone. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott, physician and integrative medicine researcher at the Ravenshade Institute for Human Health. Today, I want to speak to the men who have crossed 50 and who are still curious, still seeking, still wondering if the questions they've never asked might finally deserve an answer. So here's one: do you still masturbate? And if so, have you ever sat in the quiet of your room, just you and your thoughts, and asked yourself, is this still healthy? Am I doing something wrong? Should I be worried about my hormones, my prostate, my performance? If those questions have ever crept in, my friend, you're not alone, not even close. This isn't a weird topic, it's a missing one, and the older we get, the more missing it becomes. That's why today we're talking honestly about the real science of masturbation after 50. No myths, no shame, just truth. We'll go through 10 proven benefits for your manhood, your heart, your mood, your sleep. And we'll also cover 10 potential risks, the ones no one warns you about, so that you can make this practice work for your health, not against it. But before we dive in, I'd like to ask something simple. If this topic speaks to you even a little, go ahead and tap that like button. Why? Because something funny happens to the men who do. They sleep better, they laugh more. And rumor has it, they get an unexpected wink from the universe, and sometimes even from their wife. It's probably just coincidence. But hey, what if it's not? And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. We're building a space for grown men to have grown conversations, the ones we should have had decades ago. And trust me, this journey is just beginning. Let's begin. Benefit 1: reduce stress, lower cortisol, protect mood. Let me tell you about my patient Thomas. He's 67, retired firefighter, quiet man, served his city for 35 years, ran into burning buildings, calmed families in chaos, but the one thing he never learned to handle was stress. And now in retirement, the pressure didn't disappear, it just changed shape. Bills, sleep, aging, the feeling of fading purpose, all of it crept in quietly. He came into my office one day and asked, "Doc, is it weird that the only time I feel like myself is right after finish?" And I said, "It's not weird, it's biochemistry." Here's the truth most men never hear. Orgasm is one of the fastest, most powerful ways to shut down stress biologically. When you climax, your brain flips a chemical switch. Cortisol, the stress hormone, the thing that's been silently tearing you down, drops. And at the same time, your brain releases a blend of dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins. Think of it like an emotional cocktail handcrafted by nature to reset your nervous system. This isn't just about feeling good in the moment. Lower cortisol helps regulate blood pressure. It improves glucose metabolism. It even protects your heart and your brain from inflammation. In short, a healthy release is like a pressure valve for the soul. It doesn't fix life, but it gives you just enough breath, enough space to face it better. And no, it's not about shame or secrecy. This is medicine, silent, free, effective, and built into your biology. Now let me ask you, just between us, have you ever noticed that after a release, even the heaviest thoughts feel a little lighter? If you felt that or want to share how stress has shown up in your life, leave a comment below. Just type 1 if you've ever used this moment as your way to reset. Or 0 if you've been afraid to. No judgment here. This is your space. And hey, if you haven't hit the like button yet, maybe it's time. Not just to help this channel, but because the last man who hit it told me his wife kissed him without a reason that same night. Coincidence? Maybe, or maybe the universe likes it when men take their health seriously. Let's keep going. Because what comes next might just help you sleep deeper than you have in years. Benefit 2: improves sleep and helps the body relax after a long day. There's a reason so many men fall asleep right after sex or self-pleasure. It's not laziness. It's biology working in your favor. Let me tell you about Victor, 72, retired truck driver from Indiana. Tough guy, barely slept for decades, 4 hours here, 2 hours there. But after losing his wife, the nights grew longer and lonelier. He told me, "Doc, I started doing it just to fall asleep." Is that wrong? And I looked him right in the eye and said, no, Victor, that's your body looking for peace. Well, here's the science. Right after orgasm, your body releases oxytocin and prolactin, two hormones that quiet the brain, slow the heartbeat, and induce drowsiness. Meanwhile, cortisol drops and your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest branch, takes over. It's like flipping your brain from fight or flight into deep rest mode. No pill, no prescription, no side effects. And this matters more than you think. After 50, sleep doesn't come easy, testosterone dips, melatonin weakens. You wake to pee, your mind races. But when you use this natural tool, respectfully, intentionally, it can help your body sink into that precious deep sleep your brain and hormones need to heal, to recover, to reset. Now here's a question for you. How many hours did you sleep last night, honestly? Type it in the comments. Let's be real with each other. And if this podcast is helping you rethink your relationship with rest, tap that like button. Because the men who do, they tend to sleep deeper, snore softer, and wake up with fewer regrets and more gratitude. Sleep isn't a luxury, my friend, it's survival. And the way to it might be simpler than you thought. Ready for the next layer? Let's talk about connection, and the surprising way this private act strengthens the heart in more ways than one. Benefit number 3, increase connection, fight depression, keep the fire in relationship. Let's be honest about something, aging can be lonely. Not just the empty house kind of lonely. I'm talking about the emotional distance that creeps in even when you share a bed with someone. I remember a patient named Jerome, 64, former math teacher. He came in one day and said, Doc, I love my wife, but sometimes it feels like I'm disappearing, like I'm just going through the motions. And I told him the truth, the bond between body and brain is real. And when we neglect that connection, it frays, slowly, quietly. But here's what's fascinating. During orgasm, your brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. The same hormone that floods a mother's brain when she holds her newborn. The same one that builds trust, affection, and emotional connection in relationships. And guess what? It's not just for partnered sex. Even solo intimacy can light up these neural pathways, reminding your brain how to feel close, how to feel cared for, how to reawaken warmth inside. In men over 50, this can be a lifeline. It helps fight off depression. It reduces feelings of isolation, and it keeps the door open emotionally for love, connection, even forgiveness. This isn't just pleasure. This is emotional resilience. It's a way to stay human in a world that sometimes treats older men like we're invisible. And now let me turn the mic to you. Have you ever felt like Jerome? Still surrounded by people, yet somehow fading? If that's you, or if you've rebuilt connection with someone after losing it, share that in the comments. I read every one. You never know who you'll help just by being real. And hey, if you're still watching, still feeling, still here, tap that like button. Because maybe that small click is a way of saying, I'm still alive, still curious, still human. Coming up next, we'll shift gears. Because sometimes the biggest health threats aren't what you feel, but what you miss. Let's talk about how this practice might save your life literally. Benefit number 4, early detection of men's health problems. Let me tell you a quick story. Dennis, 59, used to work construction. Real hands-on guy, said he never needed a doctor unless something was bleeding. But one night, after a moment of self-care, he noticed something off. A small lump near his testicle didn't hurt, but it wasn't there before. Turns out that lump, early-stage testicular cancer, caught just in time. Treatment was simple, and Dennis is still building decks, still teasing his grandkids, still here. Here's what most men don't realize. Your hands know your body better than any scan. When you engage in regular solo touch, with awareness, not autopilot, you learn the natural landscape of your anatomy. You notice changes. You feel textures, tensions, subtle shifts that no one else will ever catch. This isn't vanity, it's vigilance. And it could save your life. Whether it's penile fibrosis, tissue stiffness that makes erections harder and painful, unusual nodules or growths, Changes in sensation or shape. You become your own early warning system. Not because you're paranoid, but because you're present. And as a man over 50, presence is power. Now let me ask you, when was the last time you really paid attention to your own body? Not just looked in the mirror, I mean noticed it. If you've had that moment of catching something early, or if this is the first time you're even hearing about this kind of self-check, let me know in the comments. Even just typing "notice something" once can open the door for another man to do the same. And if you feel grateful for the reminder, tap that like button, because knowledge like this, it's not just for you, it echoes outward. Now let's move on to a benefit that's a bit more mechanical. Let's talk about how this private practice is literally the gym for your manhood. Benefit number 5, keeping the penis healthy, avoiding fibrosis, maintaining erection. Picture this: you've got a vintage car in the garage, cherry red, polished, but it hasn't been started in months. What happens? The battery dies. The oil settles, the engine loses its spark. Your penis isn't so different. You see, an erection isn't just a moment of arousal. It's a vascular event, a muscle movement. When blood rushes in, it fills two sponge-like chambers, the corpora cavernosa, and stretches them like balloons. But here's the catch. If you don't inflate those chambers regularly, they start to stiffen, harden. Scar tissue builds up. It's called penile fibrosis, and it's one of the silent causes of weaker erections as men age, and I've seen it more times than I can count. Men in their 60s and 70s walk in saying, "Doc, I used to wake up hard, now nothings." And I ask, when was the last time your body practiced getting there? Because here's the truth, erections are like exercise, use it or lose it. Even if you're not sexually active, even if you don't have a partner, maintaining regular erections helps preserve blood vessel health, stretch elasticity, and keep the tissues responsive. It's like doing push-ups for your manhood. You're not just preserving function, you're keeping your confidence alive. Now I know this might sound strange to hear from a doctor, but this is real preventive medicine, and you deserve to hear it without shame. So let me throw the question back to you. Have you noticed changes in how your body responds? Less firmness, slower reactions? Type yes or no in the comments. And if this part hits home, drop a like. You never know, that little act might be the spark another man needs to start reclaiming his body. And don't go anywhere, because next, we're heading deeper into the region most men ignore until it's too late. We're talking circulation, inflammation, and the quiet battle happening in your pelvis right now. Benefit number 6, improves pelvic circulation, reduces silent inflammation. Let me tell you something few doctors will say out loud. Most male pelvic issues don't begin with trauma. They begin with stagnation. Blood that doesn't move becomes toxic. Tissues that don't breathe become inflamed. And inflammation, that's the silent fire that weakens your prostate, irritates your bladder, and strangles your performance from the inside out. Now meet Harold, 68, accountant, divorced, lives alone. He told me he used to sit 10 hours a day, no movement, no intimacy. Then one day, out of nowhere, he started feeling a deep, dull ache in his pelvis. It turned out to be chronic pelvic congestion syndrome, the result of years of poor blood flow and muscular neglect. But after just a few months of mindful daily stimulation, breathing exercises, and posture work, the pain lifted. The pressure eased, and Harold, he told me with a grin, started dancing again, in his kitchen. Alone and proud. You see, masturbation, when done with intention, helps flood the entire pelvic basin with blood. Not just the penis, but the prostate, the bladder, the muscles that support them all. This isn't about release. It's about restoration, fresh oxygen, nutrients, detoxification, all flowing into a region that for many men after 50 slowly shuts down from neglect. So if you've been feeling a weird tightness, heaviness, even tingling down there, don't ignore it. Your body is asking for movement, for circulation, and that circulation, it begins with awareness. Now let me ask you something direct. Have you ever felt a strange tension in your pelvis that you couldn't explain? If yes, leave a 1 in the comments. If no, maybe leave a 0 and keep listening. This next part might apply to you sooner than you think. And if you've been following along and finding value in these episodes, hit that like button. Because the more we circulate truth, the more we reduce shame. Now let's take that circulation idea one step deeper and talk about the foundation that holds it all up. The structure that literally keeps everything where it should be. Your pelvic floor. I used to go all night, now I can't even finish what I start. Or doc, I dribble a little when I laugh or sneeze, what the hell is happening? Here's the truth, it's not your bladder, it's not your prostate. It's the pelvic floor and it's been quietly falling asleep for years. Think of the pelvic floor like the foundation of a house. It supports everything above it, your bladder, your rectum, your penis. And just like a foundation, when it weakens, everything starts to shift. Leaking, slipping, fading. But here's the beautiful part. Every orgasm is a workout. Those rhythmic contractions, they're reps like lifting weights for muscles you didn't even know you had. The star of the show here is a small muscle called the pubicoccygeuus or PC muscle. It's the one that helps trap blood in your penis, keeping erections firm, gives you control over when you climax, prevents urinary leakage and post-pee dribbling. And the best part, you don't need a gym membership to train it. Every mindful release, especially if you pause, breathe, and contract, becomes both pleasure and prevention. Now here's where it gets personal. James, 61, former baseball coach, came to me ashamed he was leaking urine during workouts. 3 months into pelvic floor awareness and regular solo practice, the leaks stopped. His wife noticed too. She told me confidentially that he felt more present in bed. And that he finally started laughing again. So here's my question for you. Have you ever noticed issues with control in any form down there? You don't have to explain, just type yes or not yet in the comments. Sometimes admitting it is the first rep of a new strength. And before we move on, if you're still with me, still learning, still rooting for your body, hit that like button. Because I've seen what happens when men reclaim control. They don't just walk taller, they stand back up inside themselves. Now take a breath, because in the next part, we go deeper into the silent organ most feared. And reveal how this private act might be one of your best shields against prostate cancer. Benefit number 8 reduces the risk of prostate cancer. You ever hear the phrase, take out the trash before it starts to smell? Well, your prostate works the same way. Let me explain. One of the most respected studies on men's health, conducted at Harvard, followed over 30,000 men for nearly 2 decades. And they found something shocking. Men who ejaculated more frequently, around 21 times per month, had a significantly lower risk of developing prostate cancer. Now this isn't locker room talk. This is peer-reviewed long-term science. So what's the theory behind it? Your prostate is a gland. And like any gland, it creates secretions, fluids, enzymes, proteins, some of which, if left sitting too long, can become toxic. They oxidize, they inflame, they mutate. In short, a stagnant prostate is a vulnerable prostate. But every time you ejaculate, you flush that system, you move things out, you cleanse the ducts, you take out the trash. It's like running clean water through a pipe that's been collecting sediment. I had one patient, Randall, 70, widowed, spiritual but pragmatic. He told me, I meditate, I walk, I eat clean, but I never knew I could protect my prostate like that. And now he treats his monthly routine as part health practice, part ritual. He says it's not about lust, it's about maintenance. So here's the gentle question for you. If your doctor told you there was a simple, private, natural way to reduce your cancer risk, would you take it seriously? Well, now you know you don't have to overdo it. You just have to be consistent and intentional. Type protect in the comments if this part opened your eyes. And if you feel like this channel is finally giving you the health education no one else did, give it a like. Because when you circulate truth, you protect lives, including your own. Next, we shift from protection to performance. Let's talk about how this private practice can help you train your timing and take back control over your climax. Benefit number 9, practice control of ejaculation and body reflexes. You know what most men were never taught? That you can actually train your climax. Just like learning to hold a golf swing. Just like mastering your breathing before lifting weights. You can learn the moment between pleasure and release and stretch it. Let me tell you about Calvin, 55, retired Army, stoic, disciplined. But when it came to the bedroom, he said, "Doc, I feel like I'm a firecracker. I go off too fast and I can't stop it." And I told him, you don't need a pill, you need practice. Masturbation, when approached with intention, is one of the safest ways for a man to develop what we call ejaculatory control. Think of it like this. The stop-start technique, you bring yourself close, then back off. The squeeze technique, gentle pressure to hold back the reflex. The edging technique, riding the wave without falling off. Each of these is more than a trick. They teach your nervous system to wait. They help you reclaim control from the automatic part of your brain that's been conditioned for speed, not connection. The result? You last longer, you feel more. And when you do release, it's deeper, fuller, more satisfying. More importantly, you stop feeling at the mercy of your body. Instead, your body follows your lead. Now let me ask the men listening, have you ever felt that loss of control, that moment where you wished you could have lasted longer? You're not alone, you're not broken, you just haven't trained. If this part resonates, type train in the comments. Let's normalize learning even at this age. And if this podcast is helping you connect the dots, hit that like button. Because every like is a reminder, it's never too late to take back control. Now get ready. Because the final benefit we'll talk about today isn't about muscles or timing or even hormones. It's about your brain and how this simple act might be the secret to keeping desire alive, even when life tries to put it to sleep. Benefit 10, keeps the brain awake and desire alive. Here's a truth no one tells aging men: your biggest sex organ is your brain. Desire doesn't live in your pants, it lives in your imagination, in your memories. In the sparks that still flicker when you close your eyes and remember what it felt like to want and be wanted. But here's the thing, if you stop using those mental circuits, if you stop engaging with your own sensuality, even privately, if you stop allowing your mind to wander, explore, remember, invent, those neural pathways, they go dark, like an old road that stops being traveled, nature reclaims it. And suddenly one day you wonder why you don't feel like a man anymore. That's not aging, that's disuse. But masturbation, when done mindfully, reignites those mental maps. It reminds your brain how to respond, how to generate desire, how to stay sexually alive even without a partner, even without pressure. It keeps the chemistry flowing. It reminds your endocrine system, hey, I still need this. And in turn, your body listens and answers. I had a patient, Walter, 76, widower. He told me, "Doc, I thought those days were behind me. But I started reconnecting with myself, and you know what? I dream again, romantic dreams, sensual dreams." He smiled, then whispered, "I thought that part of me was dead." Well, it was just waiting for permission to wake up. So I ask you now, have you allowed your mind to fall asleep in this part of life? Or are you still lighting that little fire, even just for yourself? If you're still keeping the flame alive, type awake in the comments. And if you felt something stir just listening to this, go ahead and tap that like button. Because keeping that fire going isn't about youth, it's about presence. Now we've talked about 10 benefits, but you know I won't stop there, because the truth isn't complete without balance, and any good medicine can become poison without awareness. So in the next part, we're going to shift gears and walk through 10 risks you must be aware of, so this practice stays healing, not harmful. Balance, benefits, and risks, it's not all good things. Let's pause here. Because I know after hearing those 10 benefits, it might feel like we've struck gold. Like we've uncovered a secret weapon that was hiding in plain sight all along. And in many ways we have. But now it's time to balance the scales. You see, I've spent decades in medicine, and one lesson never fails. Anything powerful enough to heal is also powerful enough to harm if misused. Masturbation at its best is a form of self-respect, a quiet celebration of vitality, a maintenance ritual for the body, brain, and soul. But done without awareness, without rhythm, without mindfulness, without limits, it can quietly become a prison, a substitute for connection, a way to numb pain instead of heal it. I've seen it all: men who used it to avoid grief, men who damaged tissue from overuse, men who thought their only source of worth came from performance, even in solitude. And here's the part that hurts most. Most of them never realized they had crossed the line until years later. That's why the next part of this podcast is so important. We're going to walk through 10 risks, not to shame you, but to prepare you, to arm you with the kind of awareness that makes this practice yours again. Because this isn't about pleasure or guilt, it's about power. Your power to choose wisely, to care deeply, and to walk this journey with eyes open. But before we continue, let me ask something simple and honest. Has this podcast helped you see something in a new light? If so, let me know. Type yes in the comments, or not yet if you're still deciding, and if you haven't already, tap that like button. Because in doing so, you're not just supporting this message. You're affirming your place in this circle of honest men, ready to grow. Take a breath. In the next episode, we'll begin with the first risk, a quiet thief called isolation, and how to keep this private act from becoming a private wall. Stay with me. We're just getting to the part no one talks about, but everyone needs to hear. 10 harm and accompanying solutions turn risk into understanding. Let's go there. The uncomfortable truths. The parts no one posts about on forums or asks about in checkups. But the parts that matter because they shape the difference between ritual and regret. So here they are: 10 risks of masturbation after 50. And for each one, a practical remedy, because knowledge is nothing without action. 1. A social isolation. When self-pleasure replaces intimacy, not supports it, you slowly disconnect. Remedy: keep it part of a full emotional life. If you start canceling plans for private time, it's time to pause. 2. A skin micro tears. Aggressive motion without lube, you risk tears, inflammation, even infection. Remedy: use a high-quality, water-based lubricant. Always, your skin deserves care, not friction. 3. Desensitization. Same rhythm, same technique every time, and suddenly your body won't respond to anything else. Remedy: switch it up. Explore, change pace. Don't train your nervous system into a rut. 4. A hiding erectile dysfunction. If you can only get hard alone, but not with a partner, it might not be a performance issue. It might be a health flag. Remedy: see your doctor. Rule out heart disease, diabetes, hormonal decline. Don't hide behind your hand. 5. Pudendal nerve compression. Sitting hunched over or on a hard chair restricts nerves, causing numbness or pain in the pelvic floor. Remedy: lie down, use cushions. Respect your posture like you would during physical therapy. 6. Emotional coping dependency. When pleasure becomes your only escape from loneliness, frustration, or stress, you're not soothing, you're avoiding. Remedy: diversify, walk, talk. Meditate, laugh, touch yourself, yes, but live with yourself too. 7. Shame and guilt. Many men carry decades of cultural baggage, and even when the science is clear, the heart still whispers, "Am I bad?" Remedy: unlearn what was never yours to carry. Therapy helps, so does community. Shame dies in daylight. 8. Pelvic congestion. Too much of anything creates imbalance. Daily excessive ejaculation can cause heaviness and discomfort. Remedy: moderation. Listen to your body. If it feels dull, achy, or depleted, that's your signal. 9. Reduced semen quality when trying to conceive. Daily release may lower sperm concentration temporarily. Remedy: if you're actively trying to conceive, pause 2-5 days between sessions for optimal quality. 10. Disconnection from reality through porn. Extreme or constant pornography use can warp your expectations, numb your response, and erode intimacy. Remedy: limit consumption. Focus on fantasy, memory, connection. Your brain needs variety, not extremity. Now breathe with me for a second. Did any of those feel familiar? You don't need to admit it out loud. But if even one of them made you stop and think, that's progress. This isn't about judgment. This is about ownership, turning a passive habit into an active, life-supporting practice. Now I'd love to hear from you. Which one of these 10 risks surprised you the most? Type it in the comments, not just for me, but for the next man reading who thinks he's alone. And if this podcast helped shift your view, if it gave you back a piece of confidence or sparked a new way of thinking, then go ahead. Hit that like button, not because I need it, but because sometimes a little act of clicking reminds us we're still in the game, and if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. This podcast isn't about views, it's about truth. And it's only just getting started. Stay strong, stay open, and above all, stay curious. I'll see you in the next episode.